Hey guys, we've done this show for a decade now. Show after show, week after week, month after month for well over 10 years now. And today's show might be one of the most important topics we've ever discussed. "2020 was an insane year to say the least. We won't know the long-lasting mental, physical, and financial effects of the pandemic for years to come, but we are certainly seeing some of them now. I see it in myself, my team, and my family and friends, and certainly in society as a whole. We cannot underestimate the long-lasting impact of isolation and a global pandemic. This is why I dove headfirst into a Harvard Business Review study called Beyond Burned Out. It's a 5-part comprehensive study that everyone needs to read. Everyone. We're going to cover the first section and then give you the link to the entire study in the comment section below. Trust me, you'll want to read it and share this show and link with your friends and family. It's that good and that important. Yes, many industries can and have said the phrase, "We've become more efficient working at home." Yes, you have, but everything comes at a price, and this is a hefty one, and I suspect it may not be worth it in the end. Let's dig in. In the study, HBR distilled down some scary stats. 89% of respondents said their work life was getting worse. 85% said their well-being had declined. 56% said their job demands had increased. 62% of people were struggling to manage their workloads and had experienced burnout often or extremely often in the previous 3 months. 57% of employees felt that the pandemic had a large effect on or completely dominated their work. 55% of all respondents didn't feel that they had been able to balance their home and work life, with 53% specifically citing homeschooling. 25% felt unable to maintain a strong connection with family, and 39% with colleagues and 50% with friends. And sadly, only 21% rated their well-being as good and merely 2% rated it as excellent. And again, yes, efficiency increased, but culture and well-being decreased dramatically. It's not sustainable, guys. More importantly, it leads to exhaustion and cynicism. One of the big predicators of burnout, according to HBR, is cynicism. And I quote, "It's not surprising that people are more exhausted. People are working hard to keep their work and personal lives afloat, but the rise in cynicism is even more troubling. Cynicism reflects a lack of trust in the world, and I think we all can understand that." This next statement from the study has been uttered by many of us, if we're really being honest. Quote, "The pandemic has had a tremendous impact on my well-being. I've had mental health challenges, and I've hit major roadblocks with that. My physical health has changed because I can't exercise like I used to. It affected me economically, and I feel as though my career has been set back yet again." Ooh, sobering words. And of course, organizations tried to help the associates during this tough time, but many struggled to adapt and help. Another finding in the study was this: it didn't help matters that during the pandemic, we misdiagnosed the results of stress as acute rather than chronic. And once it was clear that the crisis was a triathlon and not a sprint or even a marathon, organizations did very little to help employees over the long term in meaningful ways, abandoning or failing to adapt their initial efforts. Ouch, tough words to hear for many organizations, but it's true. I mean, not for all, but for many. And hey, I get it, we've never been in this situation before. I'm sure it wasn't for a lack of trying. This pandemic went from being a 30-day nuisance to a year-long global shutdown, not easy to manage or lead through for any organization. And some of our initial solutions to help were good old Zoom. Here's another interesting quote from the HBR study. "We saw a surge in well-being by video as leaders scrambled to figure out how to replace the at-work experience with a virtual one. Team building now included Zoom happy hours and morning stretch sessions." Remember those? In the first weeks, these virtual events were jam-packed, but within a month, well-being measures just became part of the staff's workload, and there was no happy left in online social hours. HBR continues, "Everyone's solution was Zoom, but what especially is troubling here is that video calls are actually harder on us physically and mentally. Our brains find it more challenging to process nonverbal cues like facial expressions and body language, making it tough to relax during these conversations. Plus, slight delays in verbal responses subconsciously make us dislike people, according to the research. That's actually really interesting. One big problem of the pandemic is that we simply haven't realized, much less acknowledged, how hard circumstances are. We need to recognize that people are working unsustainably day after day, and they may not feel safe talking about their mental health. There's no app to fix that. And it wasn't just the associates struggling, executives and leaders struggled alike, and the vast majority of senior leaders have told HBR that they're tired too, and tired of leading tired people. This is a global pandemic and not business as usual, so we need to stop acting like it is. This is where Harvard Business Review transitions to the solution. Before we close with the solution, you absolutely need to do 3 things. 1, share this on social because this is a systemic challenge. 2, download the entire HBR study. And then 3, set up some time with your teams and your organizations to discuss. It's that important. We will leave you with the positive from the HBR study, which is the how, as in how to beat burnout. We need to go quickly, but again, dig in further on your own time. 1, feeling a sense of purpose. 2, having a manageable workload. This was one of the strongest predicators of burnout. To help overburden employees, organizations should communicate more about priorities and what can be put on the back burner until time permits, or perhaps forever. 3, reduce meeting fatigue. I love this one. Ask if the meeting is necessary. If yes, then ask, does it have to be a video call? Does it need to be longer than 30 minutes? Which attendees are absolutely essential to attend this meeting? Can we turn off cameras and use photos or avatars instead? Can we do audio-only conference calls for a much-needed screen break? 4, feeling that you can discuss your mental health at work. The first step towards solving it is to create a culture of psychological safety at work. I love that. 5, having an empathetic manager or leader. 6, having a strong sense of connection to family and friends. And one of the closing statements that I agree with and love is this. Personally, I think some of the companies went too far too fast by making work from home a forever policy. Nearly 3/4 of employees want to have access to an office, and 80% of high performers have missed their office greatly during the lockdown, according to the same report. Guys, this Harvard Business Review study is amazing and so important to read and to truly understand. We just scratched the surface today. We only talked about one of the 5 studies provided here. There's 4 more that are amazing. What COVID has done to our well-being with 12 charts, how the pandemic exacerbated burnout, 6 lessons on fighting burnout, and lastly, how to beat loneliness and make friends at work. Please, please, please share the show today on social. It's just too important. Then download the full report and dig in. Guys, I'll see you next week.